The VanEck Bitcoin Strategy ETF begins trading on the Chicago-based CBOE exchange today, trading under the ticker XBTF. It is the third Bitcoin futures-based ETF to be trading in the United States among a growing field of competitors. Joining us now to discuss is VanEck Head of Digital Assets Product, Kyle DaCruz. Hello there, Kyle. Thanks for joining us. So, just first off the bat, I would like to get your reaction to Bitcoin's fall today. Is it based on China jitters or just a healthy correction?
In my view, it's a healthy correction. And look, we're not in the business of price predicting for Bitcoin. We're in the business of offering investors long-term exposure. And so that's why we're excited to launch Bitcoin Futures Strategy ETF, XBTF.
There are a growing number of Bitcoin futures funds out there, such as ProShares, Valkyrie. So how are you differentiating yourself from the other Bitcoin futures funds out there?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I think there's two primary differentiators, and one is cost. So as of today, we are the lowest cost Bitcoin-linked exposure ETF in the market at 65 basis points as a management fee. And the second is the tax structure. So we structured XBTF as a C Corp, which may have a better after-tax return experience for long-term investors than as those in an investment vehicle structured as a RIC, a regulated investment company.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I see you have a management fee of about 65 basis points compared to ProShares and Valkyrie, which have a fee of about 95 basis points. But is there any concern that the market is getting saturated?
I don't think that. I think, at least for now, there's plenty of space in the market for three. And in addition to that, I think what differentiates our fund from the others gives broad exposure to investors for multiple ways to access the fund. And so, again, we feel that the C Corp structure is a great differentiator in offering long-term exposure to Bitcoin futures.
Is there also concern that about first mover advantage? You know, ProShares was the first to get it out of the gate. They have big trading volumes, a lot more assets in their fund. So is that a concern that the SEC, approved them first and they're the first out of the gate?
Sure. Of course, we would have loved to have been first to market. As you may know, we were the first to file in 2017 for a Bitcoin futures ETF. However, we feel very strongly that our price point, as well as the C Corp structure, are strong enough differentiators over the long term to really have a great offering in the market.
And I understand that you also tried to VanEck tried to file a spot Bitcoin ETF, correct? Perhaps you can go over the trials and tribulations over that, and when we might in the United States see a physical Bitcoin ETF, if ever.
Sure. Well, I'm certainly not in the market of predicting regulatory approvals or denials, but I can say, of course, we were disappointed in the decision. It wasn't completely unexpected, as regulators have made it known what they're looking for to allow a physical spot product in the market. I think for now, we will continue the fight to bring a physical spot ETF to market eventually. And until then, we're very excited to allow investors access to a Bitcoin futures in XBTF.
Why do you think the SEC was more comfortable with a Bitcoin futures ETF versus a physical Bitcoin ETF that frankly tracks Bitcoin a lot better?
Yeah, sure. I certainly, and again, we've been completely transparent in the hurdles that a Bitcoin futures product will have to overcome, including the roll yield situation. And on our website, there's plenty of materials addressing exactly these points. I think certainly that the structure under a 40 Act vehicle and the investor protections afforded to this fund are some of the benefits that the SEC has been touting. Outside of that, I really think over the long term, you will see a spot product in the market. When that may be, that's to be determined.
Okay. What do you think will get SEC Chair Gary Gensler over that hump and eventually be in favor of a spot Bitcoin ETF?
Yeah, look, I think it's on sponsors such as VanEck and others in the market to really educate the public and hopefully help regulators come to that decision point. I think we'll get there eventually. We're going to continue to work and move toward that.
Okay. Just one last question. With these Bitcoin futures ETFs, you're still paying a premium. So what investor would benefit from this over buying Bitcoin directly or crypto-linked stocks like Bitcoin miners? I mentioned Riot Blockchain earlier, and or MicroStrategy or a Bitcoin trust fund.
Sure. There are a lot of ways for investors to access Bitcoin and other digital assets today. However, it's our job and responsibility to give as many investors access to those investable opportunities. And frankly, the opportunity to invest in a regulated exchange traded fund is a pretty significant benefit on its own. And so we believe by giving investors this tool in their portfolio to hold Bitcoin linked exposure in their brokerage accounts is a pretty outstanding and remarkable achievement.